Evening, Fleming Island. My affirmations, my affirmations. I am a BYOB master trader. I see the professional on there too. I like it. Hello, hello. So I'm a professional, but I'm a BYOB master trader. I am the signal. All my trades in profit, I am 777. And so you always want to walk in that mindset and that thought process, right? You definitely want to make sure that's where you're at mentally, and you can add to it, just do not take away. Just like I just saw some of you all adding to it, professional. I see you all have the market pays me daily. Patience, patience, profit. Okay, patience, patience, profit. And so, ladies and gentlemen. So tonight, as promised, as we promised, that I'm going to continue and dive just a little bit deeper into what we've been discussing and helping you build that relationship with the market. Because what we do is definitely take you from a space and take you from a place where you ultimately are the signal. You are that master trader. And that's why those affirmations are so important. You know, I was once a beginner as well. I was once someone who had to learn a skill set too. And I can tell you the shift in profit, the shift in consistency came with the education and the understanding, of how to navigate the markets and what to do with the markets. And so that's when that manifested and that's when that came. And so that's ultimately why we're having this conversation and why we trade the way that we do, why we facilitate the way that we do. That's ultimately, why it's done like that. And so I just want to dive in here this evening, and we're going to begin. And I'm going to start with you guys understanding the BYOB cash out, the strategy. And then, of course, we're going to dive in, and kind of walk you through. And I'm going to take my time. So if you have any questions, of course, drop them in the chat, right? Drop them in the chat. And of course, we'll navigate and we'll get to it. So, with that being said, if this is your first time here this evening, if this is your first time on the call with us this evening, let me get a 111 in the chat. And if you are still learning how to cash out, let me get a 222. All right. And as we get started here, I'm going to ask that you all have some Zoom etiquette, just a little bit, if you don't mind. Make sure you keep your microphones muted, things of that nature. That's that Zoom etiquette that we're talking about. So because I keep having to mute. It's like I recognize you all, keep having to mute the same individuals consistently, and I've already done it quite a few times. That's why I mention it right now. So, all right. So let's go ahead and dive in. So let me say welcome, welcome back, welcome and welcome back to each and every last one of you all. So welcome and welcome back. Now, first thing we're going to do, the very, very first thing we're going to do is we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about the BYOB cash out strategy. Definitely going to talk about the BYOB cash out strategy. And, once again, for you all that are new with us this evening, for those of you all who are new to the call, I'm just going to reiterate, just definitely want to reiterate the fact that we're here for education. The knowledge base came, the consistency, and I've seen the testimonies. I even saw one in the chat this afternoon. But I see the testimonies. I get it all the time. The appreciation, the significance of understanding how to navigate the market, understanding, thank you for not feeding us signals. Thank you so much for not doing it this way, because it's one thing to it's definitely one thing to know, or to take a few trades. It makes you feel good when you take a few profits here and there, but it's your understanding and your level of your trade account and everything just goes to an entirely different dimension. Your just the clarity and everything else that you get with the market, building that relationship with the market, all of that takes on, and you hit an entirely different level, of confidence, of understanding that you really can be on the other side of money. You kind of eliminate all of those angst and anxieties and things that you have when you can look at this market and feel it for yourself. And I'm just telling you, that's why we do it the way that we do it. You know, this is why, you know, the freedom that's there, the freedom that's on this side, the freedom is like nothing else. And that's ultimately what this movement is all about. It's about 1 million families financially educated and impacted. It's about each and every last one of you all. And so I say that and reiterate that so we can begin here. Okay. I say that and I reiterate that so we can begin here, because tonight is tools training. But even with the tools, okay, even with the tools, there is some understanding that you must have. And that's when you will really, really begin to understand and appreciate the tools. Okay. So even with that. Okay. And once again, I need y'all to make sure you mind your mics. If I'm a kick you off the call. I keep muting the same individuals. All right. So now here we go. When you're looking at this, you start on the 15-minute chart. Okay, we start on the 15-minute chart. And when we're on the 15-minute chart, we start there. Okay, it's the foundation. It's what we tell you that, you know, anyone can get started, anyone can dive in. You know, your first 14 to 21 days, you'll begin to understand. You know, you'll begin to understand, you'll begin to dive in, you'll begin to see the market with complete clarity. You know, that's ultimately what that means. So you start there on that 15-minute chart. Okay, you start there with that. And then as we dive in and as we keep going, okay, as we dive in and it keeps going, then you always want to make sure that you are advancing in that skill set, right? You want to make sure you are advancing in that skill set. And as you understand that you are advancing in that skill set, you have to begin to elevate. You have to begin to, I'm putting my support and resistance lines. I'm understanding my trend lines. I'm understanding some market structure. I'm understanding zone to zone. I'm understanding those things because, like I said, you'll begin to appreciate, right? You'll begin to appreciate what those alerts mean and how the tools actually work. And you'll begin to appreciate the market and understanding the skill set that you have. Like, for example, okay, I'm gonna dive in here in just a moment and we're going to definitely get started. But just for example, this line right here, you know, of course, you know, I like to kind of play with things and kind of test it out. And I just want you to understand the power of the skill set. All right, the power of it. As you know, we took this trade and from at a point zero 0.01 to, I should have marked up earlier where it was, but that was at least, it's somewhere up in this area right here. But from here to here, that's at least $325 at a point zero 0.01. Okay, that's $325. Now, two different accounts, you know, from an investing standpoint, two different accounts. One account at $50, one account at a little over $300, about $330. For that same move, one of them made $4 and the other one almost 100, almost 100. So do you understand the magnitude? And so it took $300 to make over a little over $300 to make almost $100. It took $50 to make $4. Does that make sense? You get what I'm saying? So I want you to understand the power and the magnitude of understanding this skill set. So from here to here at a point zero 0.01 was $325. And you already know it doesn't matter what you fund your account with as long as you can handle the leverage and the pullbacks. But that's a point zero 0.01. Like, and so I just want you to understand the power of what's in your hands. And so that's why I'm saying this up front, because I really want you to understand, because right now, with so much that's happening in the world right now, we kind of talked about it on Tuesday and we talked about it last week, but we talked about market psychology from an investing like even an investing standpoint. And so actually seeing that, and, you know, love to go back and kind of test things and play with it, just to kind of show you guys and to help you guys understand, you know, just so you can understand the magnitude and the value of what you have. So let's dive in So, and look, you talking about some, yay, yes, I love that, absolutely. So, and you can see this move up, okay? You can see this move up. So we talked about that on this morning's call, right around here where it was. So you guys definitely should have been in a position where you took profit on this, okay? Definitely should have been in a position where you took profit. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the BYOB cash out strategy. Let's just go ahead, dive in here. So initially, right here, on the 15-minute chart, okay, on the 15-minute chart. And so we're going to start here with my stochastic, okay? We're going to start here with my stochastic. And understanding that I start here with my stochastic, you're looking for 3 indicators. This is the stochastic, this is my Hikanashi candles, and this is my PSAR. Stochastic, Hikanashi candles, PSAR. So what am I looking for? With my stochastic, you have the blue line cross over the red right here in a downward momentum, okay? Or I'm looking for the blue line to cross over the red and an upward momentum around that 20. So downward momentum, upward momentum. I already know when you come to the chart, you do this, you look and see, oh, I see the candles, okay? That's what we do, it's human nature. So now stochastic, blue line cross over the red and a downward momentum around the 20. Then what I'm looking for is I'm gonna come up here and then I begin evaluating my other indicators. Now here, I need that red candle with a flat top and I need that PSAR on the top. That PSAR is the dot, okay? That PSAR is the dot. That's what that is. So I come here, all right, and now that's the BYOB cash out strategy. But I also have to include, and I utilize the time frame confluence. So time frame confluence, okay? We're gonna go to the hour. When we come to the hour, it needs to look like it's setting up for a sell. This absolutely does look like it's setting up for a sell. As a matter of fact, you can see where this shifted, right? We can definitely see this shifted. No, I just picked a spot to explain it. Right now, I'm just explaining the strategy. I haven't done anything else. And I put the arrow here. The arrow simply is so we'll stay looking at the same candle. Because if we were looking at the live market, I would not need a candle, right? I wouldn't need that. But I mean, I wouldn't need an arrow. I do need a candle. I wouldn't need the arrow. And so if I'm at the live market, so when I flip screens, that arrow is to help you stay on the same space, to make sure we're looking at the same entity so you all can see what what we're looking for and what we should need to see. And then of course, when I drop down to the 5-minute, okay, I drop down to the 5-minute and that 5-minute needs to still be selling. Now, why is that important? And that's going to really help you understand a little bit today. So we've been going through this over the last few weeks, okay? We've been talking about this over the last few Thursdays. And why is that important? My higher time frame tells me where the market's going. My lower time frame gives me all of the activity and the movement. And that's why so many that's why so many alerts, they actually come on the 5-minute, because the 5-minute is where we see all of the activity. Even the 1-minute, you see a lot of activity, right? You see, every candle is a minute. And so I want you to understand that you cannot look at this and understand where the market is going. You're going to have so much activity within this. So even if I just come up here and I look at my 4-hour, which is where I'm talking about market direction, okay? That's what I'm talking about. So if I come here and I grab this little box and I put this around here, okay? Can I move it over some? Well, just know we got a little bit of this other candle in there. So notice how, okay, I have 4 candles in there and half of another one, but I have 4 candles because that's 4 candles in 4 1-hour candles in a 4-hour candle. So now, when I drop down to the 30, you're going to see more movement. But then when I drop down, I get down here to the 5. Look at all these candles in there. Because every 5 minutes, okay, every 5 minutes is a candle. And then when I come down here to the minute, now this doesn't tell me where the market is going, not at all. Now, what I do know on a higher time frame, it was kind of hanging around that support and resistance line. And so, but when you get there, so that's what I want you to understand. Do not try to trade off of that. Do not attempt to trade off of that. So let's just go ahead and dive in Okay, let's just go ahead and dive in this evening. And where I want to start you is right here. This is one that we were looking at, but I'm going to move that indicator for just a moment because I want you to focus on what I'm showing you right here. Now, you notice that we have been in a nice downward trend. And actually, you know, so, well, I'm glad that that did. Actually, when I'm looking here and you can see, because tonight we're talking about when that actual trend shifts directions, right? That's what I want you guys to see. But in this, you can see that this has been in a downward momentum, right? It's been in a downward trend. And so when I'm looking at this, we know that we get impulse, right? That first initial move out, we're going to just start right here. So I kind of want, I'm gonna put a line right here because I want you guys to stay on this side, like stay over here, okay? So when I'm here, you see I'm on an hour chart. So I'm showing you a bigger picture, okay? So we get that impulse, then we get a correction. Now I had the question, how can you tell if it's a correction or it's a trend change? Well, this is a correction. This is what a correction looks like. You always get that impulse, correction, then we get continuation. Now, this is where, okay, and the reason I'm showing you this because we already went last Thursday, we really talked about the way, we talked about that move in detail. And so if you need some more clarity, I want you all to go back and watch that video. But when I saw this one, I did like this one, and I'm gonna show you why. Because this is where many will start to believe that, okay, I'm gonna start buying the market. But I want to show you something, okay? Right here, okay? This is, when I'm looking at this, all right, so let me find my text. I'll do it this way. This is a high, all right? That's a high, and that's a little high. It's a little high. Can you see it? So that's a high, okay? And then this is, okay, that's a lower high, okay? That's a lower high. This is my low, okay? So you kind of see what we're doing here, right? Over here, I have a low. All right. Now, this is what happens. So many believe that when you see this impulse come back up here like this, when we see this nice little spike up, we believe that we're in for a buy and that you're going to come all the way back up here because, we already we mark up the big picture, we mark up the charts, we mark it up, right? And so we already know that when I look way up here on a daily, because if you notice, this is still my markup from earlier. Where did we go? This is still my markup from earlier when we were on our call. You notice that this is where we were, okay? And so when we come back down here, you notice that that's where we were. And so you're believing, okay, let me get back down here to my hour. What many of you all will believe is that, okay, it's starting to buy now. I'm in a bearish market. Well, you're not in a bearish market. You're still in a bullish market, okay? You're still in a bullish market. And it has to pass that last significant level. So it has not. So you notice that here, so this is what I like to call, that's not what I want. What morning call? 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday. 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday. On this exact same link that you're on right now. Are you in a Telegram? If you're not in the Eastern Standard Time, if you're not in a Telegram, can someone drop the Telegram link in the group, please? There's always a notification that gets dropped in there too. So you notice that we didn't break this level. This was my lower high. All right. I didn't break this level. So I do not have a trend change. You have to break that level. And so it's really some sloppy price action is what it is. And so then when I come down, thank you so much. When you come back, you can definitely see how we begin getting back into my trend that we already had. And so when we come over here, now this low is definitely lower than the other low that we just had, okay? That one is definitely lower. And so this is where we have a higher low, right? It's a lower high. Work with me. You guys know I'd be like support, resistance, resistance, support, but trust me, I know what they are. So, and we all do it. So you can see that we definitely have this, you know, right here, they're both at the same level, right? We're in the same area. And so now it comes down. And so now the market is here. All right. So we have a low. Now I come back up. I still haven't passed that, right? So I need to get past that level. And so when we actually have a trend change, because this will be a lower high once again. Let me go ahead and put this in there. You guys can kind of see it. And I told you I picked this one for a reason. Everyone is not going to be just so beautiful. Last week, I showed you a nice, beautiful trend. I showed you a nice, beautiful, you know, trend with my lower highs and my lower lows. And this should be a lower low. This will be a lower low. It should be 2 L's. Let me make sure you guys see it correctly. I don't never come back and edit these. That's ultimately what it should be right here, okay? Now, so we have our lower lows, right? So you guys see this with me. You see, you're with me right now, right? You guys see this? And this one, all of them are not so, all of them are not as beautiful as the ones last week, but you have to pay attention to the structure. So you have to pay attention to this structure. And so you see this is my high, this is my lower high, it got lower and we got lower. So now what I have to do is I have to come back here, and in order for me to have that true change, okay, in order for me to have that change, what ultimately has to happen is I have to break that last significant level. So now my last significant level is this one right here. You notice that I did not, right? Okay, I'm here. I made a lower low. When I made my lower high, I did not make another lower low. So now this is like red flag. Something's happening. This would have made you be on alert, but it never pushed past there. So, okay, right now we're not changing. This puts me on alert because I didn't make a lower low. Okay, I made a low, but not a lower low, because if my trend was going to continue, I would have been down here past this point right here. It would have had to been down here. So now this puts me on alert because I didn't make another lower low. Now, for me to have a trend reversal, it has to break this. This one did not break this, okay? So if it would have pulled up to here and been level with that, that's not a break. That's sloppy price action. That's all it is. It breaks it, then it pulls back, and then it continues. And so now we have a trend reversal. So coming here, so coming here, you notice that, all right, so when I didn't get that low. So from here, this is that initial, okay, we came up here, impulse, correction. So now it created, right, now we created a higher low. Continuation, correction, continuation, right? So now what we did is we created, so now we have, now what I'm looking at is I have a high, I have my low, because this started a low, so this is a lower high, a higher low. Work with me, I promise. Y'all stay with me. We're gonna get my vocabulary right. So let me see where am I trying to put this one. So if I'm putting it right there, so what I have is my higher, that's a higher high from, well, actually it's just a high because we're just getting it started. So before you truly understand that you're going to have a reversal, okay, you need to at least have those 2 points identified. So when we talk about, oh, it's only going to come to your first support and resistance line, well, that's what that is. You see how it all plays together? And so if I'm going to trade on my higher time frames, if I'm going to trade, there's a little bit more that I need. So this is where, you know, so of course, well, let me put this on here. You get your higher high. Okay. You get your higher high right here, and then you come over here, you get, right, my higher low. Okay, and so you can see how we're continuing like that. All right. So, you looked at in the academy, you made this so understandable. Thank you. You're so welcome. And so now, so when you're taking those trades, okay, when you're taking those trades, like for this one right here, when I tell you guys that, hey, it only goes to that very first support and resistance level unless you have something telling you you can go past it. You did your 10 pips and cash out, or you do your 10 pips and cash out, or you only take it to your support, that first support and resistance level. This is why. So now you're starting to see it. You're starting to see it. So remember, just because I have a trend line here, I can put a trend line here. Remember last week when we dropped down and I was like, hey, we can put another trend line in here. We can put a trend line in there, right? I can put trend line after trend line after trend line. So, and it does, do I always get that? So now you see, okay, that as it's tapping and it's touching, because I can put, or hey, you could have started with a trend line. You know, you ever mark up and you have so many trend lines, because I technically could have done this with that touch over there. But then you notice that, you know, we started getting that shift. It kind of identified it, but this didn't respect it. So when we got over here after that sloppy price action, if I use that one, then you can kind of see how it kind of respected it some. All right. Because it's not going to always come up and exactly touch it. Remember, it got in that little zone area and you can see how it respected it. Now, if I'm looking at this one, okay, you see how it came up here, it corrected, and then of course it just moved up. Now let's drop down, because we always know it retests a trend line. Okay, so not always, but not. I actually let me not even try to give you guys a percentage, because I don't need you quoting me. So, well, I'm not taking a trade right at this moment, but would I do a trailing stop loss? Absolutely. That's actually in the that is actually in the playlist, trading the BYOB cash out. So absolutely, that's absolutely in that playlist. So I definitely believe in a trailing stop loss. And so there's an entire training on that in that playlist. It's like, I gotta think of what video it is. I'll let you know though. You know, so if you know how to set them, or if you don't, I definitely let you know. So in understanding what we are right now, all right, and understanding what's happening and understanding where we are right now, you definitely can see. Now, I came down for a reason. I dropped down. Haha, this 5 minute is so significant, right? All the activity is happening. And so you can see, look how it pulled back. You see, what did I tell you? It pulls through, right? It rejects off of there a little bit, and then it goes through the trend line, and then it pulls back. So just because did it touch it, hey, does that matter? Absolutely not. It's in the vicinity, it's in the area. Because is this really a definitive line in the market? Who says my line is perfect? Who says your line is perfect? Who says mine is not perfect? You know, but there's always a zone around this area. So it's like a resistance kind of zone, like where the market's pulling. And so this is why you see that. So now I just gave you the why behind the what of understanding why when you see those trend lines, why we come through it and why we do it, why it happens the way it happens. And so then of course it continued up. So when you get those triggers, you know, no, it's not gonna, it doesn't, that's the thing. That's why the education is so important, because this is what will happen. And so I'm glad you asked that question, because this is ultimately what will happen. Okay. This is what will happen. I will look at this. Okay. I can give you all some signals. And what will happen is I'll come on here and I'll say, this is your entry point. You know, I'll do something like this is your entry point, you know, and let me make it a different color so I can delete it, because I don't want it to look like a coloring book. And then I'll say your take profit is, which one did not reach? You know, let's just hypothetically, you know, I'm gonna just put something out here and I'll say, okay, your take profit is up here. Well, you see how it doesn't touch that? You see how it doesn't touch that? And then you're wondering why it didn't. You're wondering why didn't it take profit? Why did not? I was right there, you know, because somebody used the line, and you know, you don't understand why you didn't take profit because you haven't been educated. You were just told what to do. And so, and then you come back over here. And so, for example, if I was doing like, okay, this is your entry point. Have you ever been somewhere or been trading with someone and they're like, oh, well, we missed our entry. How did you miss your we missed it by a pip? What does that mean? How do you miss your entry by a pip? So if you understand how to take the trades and what you're looking for, and then the issue is that so many individuals, because you're just listening to what they tell you and they're feeding you, you don't know that you can take the trade, or you don't even know how to enter the trade. You just mark it up because of what they told you. And so when you understand how this market moves and you understand what we're talking about and you understand how to utilize these tools and you understand that, nobody can stop you. Nobody. Nobody can stop you. Nobody, right? And so that's ultimately, and I want to take these off of here, but hey, look at what we are. So knowing that, you see, this one was more of a significant pullback, but you don't even see that correction right here where it came back and retouched it, right? You don't even see that. We don't see that at all. We don't see that at all. And so that's why the lower time frames are so important. And when you hear me say, hey, drop down to the lower time frame, right? You hear me say drop down to the lower time frame, and that's going to actually when you drop down to the lower time frame, you can get, you know, your entry point, right? So does that make sense? So before I pull up another one, questions, comments, testimonies, drop it in the chat. Questions, comments, testimonies. Awesome. This is great. I'm so excited. Questions, comments, testimonies. All right. So let's go ahead and let's look at another one because I wanted to kind of show you this big picture. You know, I wanted you to get grasp that. And even breaking this trend line on a higher time frame, isn't it doing the same thing, even though it continued? So let's look at this before I even flip to another currency pair. So if I look here, the market, this is what I mean by the market to tell you what it's going to do. The market talks to you, okay? The market is going to tell you what it's going to do. So if I look here, and you can see that, right? I'm looking here and it didn't break that level. It didn't break that, it didn't break that low. It didn't break that, it didn't break it, right? It did not break that low. It did not break it. And so it did not break that last significant level. You just keep hearing me say it, right? You just keep hearing me say it because I want it ingrained in your mind. So it got right here and it didn't break it. It got right here and it didn't break it. So that tells you right there that we're coming back up here. And so then it pushed through. So it rejected off. So all this was a rejection off the trend line. It pulled back and now it pulled up. And so it's a rejection off the trend line and then it pulled through it and it's retesting it right now. So that's what it's doing. And so you can see how we're approaching that. Now, how does the stochastic play with this? You can see how we're approaching that oversold territory. We're getting to that place where we're oversold. Come over here. Now, so hey, hopefully, but at the same time, look what we are. It could possibly be, you know, it could possibly be like Milan might not be perfect, or it could possibly, I mean, look at my momentum right here. So it can sit there and then go up, or it can sit there and it'll come pull back through, retest it and come on back down. So it can possibly, you know, be the fact that, remember we talk about the stop sign? You know, we talk about, does your car stop at the same spot every single time? So, you know, but it has to break this level before we get that trend reversal. Or we're talking about the trend is your friend. And so where you enter the trades, what you're looking for, where you enter the trades is you enter the trade here. You enter the trade here. Okay. So absolutely. Higher time frames. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when you drop down, you'll see more. And see, you guys are asking good questions. So let me go down. When I drop down, okay, when I drop down, I see more, right? You see trends within trends. You see movement within movement. So even when I get around here, I'm going to have a pattern in here, okay? You'll see patterns inside of here. So, you know, you see smaller movements, you see smaller market structures, you see you definitely see like market patterns and other trends and things within here. You know, I don't, let me get away from that big one right there. But if you know, without us going through, because we marked some up last week as well, but just kind of look at this, you'll see other patterns that are happening in here. So even in that on the lower time frames. However, let me be help you understand how the tool works. The harmonic scanner, for example, it identifies harmonic patterns. And so when the why do I pull an hour so much? You know, sometimes I'll pull a 30, but why do I pull an hour for most of the time? Because I'm looking for those harmonic patterns, because those are harmonic patterns identified on a higher time frame. And so the higher time frame tells me where the market's going. And so ultimately what can happen is, if you know that this is in an uptrend, right? You know that we're in an uptrend. You know we're in an uptrend right here. All right, let me actually get to the hour. You know we're in an uptrend. And so if I'm in an uptrend, what happens is you have patterns and you have things that actually get triggered on those lower time frames. So when I come in here, there is some market structure in here that happens on the 15. And so what'll happen is it'll identify patterns no matter what direction the market's going. So the 15 is going to identify patterns in here. It'll identify the patterns back over here to go back up in that buy. So what you don't know, remember when we talked about the fact that you have absolutely no idea, you don't know how far the market's going to correct. You know, I know a lot of people use Fibonacci's and they'll put the fibs on the chart, and you know, and it's like, okay, it'll come to 38, it's going to do 60, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. But I promise you, you have absolutely no idea how far it's going to correct. You know, you just don't. Sometimes it's little, sometimes it's great. I mean, look at what Bitcoin did, right? So you just don't know. And so if I identify a pattern in here, or if I try to trade this, you don't know how far it's going to go. This one ultimately, you know, that's 23 pips. And so you're trying to push it and you're looking at those harmonic patterns in the 15. What if it's in here? So it's still so important for you to come back and understand where you are in the market. You know, it's so important. And so that's why you always see me typically pull them on those higher time frames. Okay. That's why, you know, I pull it from there. You know, that's ultimately why. And so because I don't, you know, and you don't know, like the 15 pushes a lot out, just like over here, the 5-minute pushes a lot out. But you still need to understand where you are in the market. Okay. You really, really have to understand where you are in the market in order to analyze, do I take this trade or do I not take this trade? Okay. So that's ultimately things that you must understand and things that we need to know. So let's see. All right. So questions, comments. See, you guys having good questions, and then I'll go answer questions, comments, testimonies. So any other questions before we go look at another one? Okay. So over here. And so, of course, they are going to look different. Okay. Are going to look different. But I'm not, you know, you can kind of see this was kind of in that range area. So I'm going to just start right here. All right. Let's just start right here. What do you mean working from a higher time frame? Can you take the trade on a higher time frame? I guess that's what I need clarity on. Can I take the trade on a higher time frame? So, oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So that actually is identifying movement on a higher time frame. So you might have to wait a little bit longer, but I take those triggers and go mark the chart up. And so let me go back. I think I missed the question. I meant to come back and answer it about the overbought and oversold. So look at this though. You know, my stochastic plays along with this. So blue line crossover red in a downward momentum. right? I'm marked up. So red candle flat top, PSAR flip. We in this area. So blue line cross over the red in an upward momentum, right? So green candle flat bottom, PSAR flip to the bottom. All right. See how it plays along with it? Oh, blue line cross over the red around the 80, right? Red candle flat top, PSAR flip to the top. We can keep going, okay? Blue line cross over the red around the 20, green candle flat bottom, PSAR flip to the bottom. You just need to know where you are in the market, because this is why you'll see a lot of, oh, I'm a trade zone to zone. You notice that if I drop my support and resistance lines on here, all right, if I drop support and resistance lines, don't they typically happen around there? You can kind of see a little bit how it kind of happens around there. So if I drop support and resistance on here, this is why you'll see a lot of zone to zone, but that doesn't guarantee you that this is coming back up to that zone. Okay, that does not guarantee you that it's coming back up to that zone, not at all. And so, you know, but you need to know where you are in the market. Because if I start here for my swing traders or my individuals, you know, that trade longer time frames, right? So for all of you all, then you're looking for these longer trades. And so you notice that we mentioned quite a few of them that were kind of setting up. You know, we mentioned quite a few of them that were actually getting ready. And so understanding that this is, once again, this is definitely where you want to make sure that you want to make sure that you understand where you are, you understand how the market flows, and you understand the style of trader you are. Because my swing traders and my intraday, my swing traders for sure are only trading this. You're only trading in a sell right here. This is it. That's all you're trading. My intraday traders, you know what? You're probably going to hit that zone to zone. And for the most part, you're probably only going to trade the sells. You're not going to be concerned with the buys because you know you're in a downward trend. Now, my scalpers, y'all get it. You get it. You go here, 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 here. You're trading all of it. But you need to know that when I trade counter, this is a counter trend trade right here. This is a counter trend trade. This is a counter trend trade. All right. This is a counter trend trade. All up in here, probably should have used the circles. But that right there, that's a counter trend trade. That's what that is. And so when you understand that, then this helps you analyze and decide if you want to take the trade or not. So what's in your trade plan? That I don't counter trend trade, or I only get 5 or 10 pips in a counter trend trade. So you just don't know based on time frame what's in your trade plan, and you want to stick to your trade plan. All right. So then when you come here and you notice that, all right, I'm here, it broke that trend. It actually shot up. Now, where's my level? Okay, I have a level right here. It actually broke that level, and then it pulled back, and then it created another high. So now you can see that no matter how, so what I'm trying to get you all to see right now, because I know, right? I know that what happens is, okay, I know what happens is you go through the training and it does this, right? You go through the training and it looks so pretty, right? Right? This is what the training shows you. And then you come over here and it does like this, right? And then you come to the market and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for it to look like that. And that's not what you're looking for. That's not what you're looking for. And so that's what you're looking for. And that's not how the market moves. And so that is the foundation of what it is. But just like it's an art and it's not a science, you need to apply that same thought process. It's an art and it's not a science. Because look at this one. This one doesn't look as pretty as this. It doesn't. This one looks better than this one does. This doesn't look like that. This one looks a whole lot. This one almost looks picture perfect. And this one over here, you're like, whoa, but you need to see it. Okay, it came high, it came low, it came high, it came low. And it, for that last question, I'm just going to ask you, did I say that? I just want to remember, do not add to or recreate the rules. Okay, do not add to, or you can add to your affirmations, but don't recreate the rules. So do not recreate the rules. It's not that the trades are different, it's doing the same thing. You know, it's doing the same thing. Okay, it's doing the same thing. So it broke that last significant level, right? It broke that last significant level. It broke it. It broke the level. And when it broke the level, it came back. So impulse, correction, continuation. So it's the same, but it's not going to always be so picture perfect that it looks the same, right? It's not going to always be so picture perfect. And so it's not going to necessarily look like this, but it's still doing the exact same thing. It's creating that higher high, then that higher low. It created that higher high and then that higher low. It created that higher high, and that's what it did. So you created that higher high. So that's what it did. It created that, and it broke that last significant level. That it did that as well. It just does not look as pretty as this one does, right? It just doesn't look as pretty as this one does, because ultimately what you're looking for, so, right, you are welcome. So here, if I can draw, you know, this is not my skill set. Drawing is not my skill set. Here, yay, we did it. So you notice that when we do this, okay, you notice that, okay, so if I come here, so I have a low, okay, so I have a low right here, and then I come over here and I have a lower high. That's what you're looking for. I come over here, I have a lower low. Okay, I have a lower low. And then I come back over here and I created a high. You said the drawing looked good to me. I was concentrating. I was concentrating. Oh, I was concentrating. And so now I created a high. Okay, it broke this level. And so when I come here and I do this, hey, I'm not perfect. It should have been up some. This should have been up some. Ta-da. When I do this, it shouldn't have broke through there. Let me make sure see, it's almost good. It's almost there. And so, you know, when you kind of think about it, it had to break that level. So it would be nice if they were all picture perfect. It would be nice if life was perfect all the time, right? But you know how to navigate. You know how to navigate. So you have to know how to navigate. And when you know how to navigate, voila, right? You good to go. So all you do is you understand it and you know how to navigate. And that's what you do. And so when you have that, so now we did GBP, this is GBP USD. So you're talking about currently. Let me see, we got a few minutes. So I think you're at that same level earlier. With all that is there, I still see clarity. There you go. So I think on the morning call, it's the same level you were talking about. You're like, you want this level to work. Let me see. What's your number? Because I just remember that number. So right there. So, but remember too, with this one, we're at that high we haven't been at. And so you notice that this was that high. Remember this morning I told you it was gonna pull back. And so, right. So but it's not breaking this level. And so if it breaks the level, it's coming back down. So, but it did come back down from this morning where we were at, because we were up here. And so, you know, we were up here. So it did come back down, and you can kind of see that too. Okay. And so even looking right here, and when it broke that level, and then look, and so it played out the way we discussed. When it broke this level, it came back up and it came down. We got a little one right there, and bam. So that's where we are. as far as in this vicinity right up in here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're at the fifth point right now. And so you'll see what actually happens, as far as it being, but it looked like it's pulling a little bit, but I already knew it was gonna come down some, because that's what we said this morning for you to look at. And so if you took it this morning, right? If you took it this morning, you about 48 pips right there. You're about 48 pips. So yeah, about 48. And so the purpose, so that was good as far as what we identified this morning. That was good as far as what we identified this morning. And so let's see here. Yeah, we're so questions, comments, testimonies, questions, comments, testimonies, questions, comments, testimonies. Not a testimony for me. Not a testimony for me. These are at, let me see where this is at. This one, it was gonna have to come down and break, but I mean, I just don't see where this is gonna keep pushing up right there. It's gonna have to come down. I mean, you can kind of see where, I mean, we're at that level where it's been getting rejected. So we're still waiting on some formulation to happen on this one right here, and you kind of see that right there. So you definitely can see where this went up. But yeah, we're still, I mean, you can definitely see where that went up and moved up right there. But we're definitely waiting on some formulation to happen right there. So questions, comments, testimonies, questions, comments, testimonies, questions, comments, testimonies. You say this is totally different from last week. Absolutely. This is another part. This is like an add-on. This is that next part after what we went over last week. So last week, what we did was talk about this. So we talked about, we talked about, basically this is what we talked about last week. We just stayed here and we didn't get into the trend change. So, oh yeah, the market this week. Oh my gosh. Yes. The market itself. Absolutely. So the market right now, and so even that question about the highs, like you're getting a lot of these, let me take this off. But I remember this morning on the call, look, 2 hours, 3 hours. This morning on the call, we had so many hours and 4 hours that triggered. And so ultimately what happens when you get those monetary policy reports and those things that come out, that's typically when it gives the market its direction. However, the market hasn't started moving the way that we expect it to, just based on the simple fact, right? The market really, really, really has not started moving the way we expect it to, based on stimulus, based on, so many other things out there like that, impeachment trials. So that impeachment trial put a little bit of political back in the market. And then of course the stimulus, because, going back and forth with the amount of the stimulus right now tremendously weaken the dollar from an economic standpoint, is that's why the market's reacting the way it's reacting, because the USD has got to be like one of the heaviest ones. That's, the USD is like the foundation. That's the safe haven currency. And so you just definitely have to take that into consideration and just kind of keep that in mind as well. That is the safe haven currency. And so anytime anything impacts US dollar, it is definitely going to impact the market. So that's why the market's been what it is. And so you have people taking trades, but the long-term trades and a lot of the intraday just wasn't there. But like some of the scalps and things like that, I mean, we had some good trades. I'm not saying nothing was out there, but it just was not as many. And the thing about it, you only need one good one a day. I promise you, you only need one good one a day. I just want to make sure you guys are not in a position where you're trying to force the trades or you're trying to make it, you one good trade a day. And I mean, you can compound that and it just be beautiful. Now, of course, if you get more than one, that's great too, so, but I just want you all to understand from that perspective, we don't force it. We ride the wave of the market. And so what we're doing right now and what we are, and if you got another question, comment, drop it in the chat. But what we're doing right now, what we are, is just helping you understand that an educated trader is a profitable trader. And that's the bottom line. And you want to operate your patience, profit, right? You definitely want to operate in that. But an educated trader is a profitable trader. And that's the reality. And So when you understand that, you guys, and as we close out this week and as we close out the training, I just cannot stress to you all enough, I cannot stress to you all enough how you took the profit on the trade we analyzed it. I cannot stress to you all enough how important it is for you all to be educated. You know, I cannot stress to you all enough how important it is, because if you really, 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 right, want to take this to the next dimension, and you want to get that, not you want the financial freedom, not just some financial stability, not just a few extra dollars. You really want to take this to the next dimension. You really want to dive in and hone in on this skill set. And I can guarantee you, you know, I definitely can guarantee you that you are a master trader. You see the market in clarity, and your trade account will thank you. I promise you that. So, with that being said, yes, it is more than gas money. Yes, absolutely. So, okay, last week's on our YouTube channel. If you go on YouTube and search BY, you go on YouTube and search BYOB challenge, but I'm dropping it in here right now, and that'll take you directly to it. And I guess I didn't drop it. Hold on. Let's try this again. Somebody got it. Not everybody. Here we go. There you go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, this has been a phenomenal evening, and I appreciate you all. Next Dimension, definitely appreciate you all. But it is time to transition this call. Do not go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. Do not go anywhere, because, like I said, it's time to transition this call. Oh, thank you. So with that being said, it brings me great pleasure and honor to actually turn this call over to a gentleman